SportsNite, your home for all SU sports talk.
Whether it was a 5-goal win or just an overtime win, a win is a win, and especially in a loaded ACC, they're going to look back on this one and say, thank goodness we got a win.
There's just, the question marks are so many that it makes you think, what if we are in for a second-year hangover?
Autry is in obviously a bad situation because of all the backlash he's getting from the fans because the pressure's high, right? But I also think he has a little bit of leeway.
Breaking down everything from around the hill.
They almost surrendered that lead in the fourth quarter, which is a concern of mine. I would have preferred to see a full 60-minute performance.
And giving hot takes along the way.
I'm just not convinced. Some of the transfers are promising, but if we look at what, national champions are made of, this team has none of that stuff.
It's SportsNite, and it starts right now.
Whether you like it or not, Syracuse men's basketball is still trudging through the ACC gauntlet. But on the women's side, Syracuse women's basketball is rolling through ACC play right now. Plus, we got some very, very special guests joining us very soon on tonight's edition of Sports Night. Ben Chadwick alongside Jish Sokolsky with you from 8 to 9 p.m. tonight. If you'd like to call in and talk with us, you could do so at 315-443-2011, or you could check out all of our tweets and connect with us there at WAER Sports Talk on X and watch us on YouTube at that same handle. Jish, it is a freezing cold one out there. We got a blizzard rolling through the U.S., so it's good to be in our warm abode that is the Ostrom Avenue studios.
I would say that's about right. Yeah, this is maybe like the last broadcast we can get out before the skies open up to a storm that we haven't seen in over 20, 30, 40 years. I hear reports about it being the biggest since 1985. So this is, I think the Syracuse men's basketball team, though, they got news of it getting cold a little bit early. They were pretty cold in that game against Virginia Tech. Let's start with that.
Yeah,
just that
please.
First half and second half, right? It's a tale of two halves, but it's a story we've heard all before. I know you and I were both big Radiohead fans, right? I'd say that second half was a letdown.
Absolutely.
But there were no surprises. You like what I did there?
I did. That was a fantastic job.
Because how many times this season have we seen Syracuse in that second half just have the floor swept out from under them? I'll tell you, Ben. It's been 9 times. They played 19 games. In 9 of those games, Syracuse has lost the second half. What are we doing here?
For anyone wondering the exact numbers, Syracuse versus Virginia Tech got that win 76-74. The Orange held a 7-point lead at halftime. 37-30 was the score, and they were outscored in the second half by 9 points. Virginia Tech dropping 46 points in the second half alone, and Syracuse in that second half shooting just 27% from 3. They just could not get anything going, racked up 9 turnovers as well. This is a team that just cannot seem to play together. And I think that's something that people often bring up when a team has so much talent, as they do, as Syracuse men's basketball does this season. So much talent on this team, and yet they still can't win games. There's only one explanation for that for me, and that's because they can't play together, and maybe because the coaching is not adequate enough for a program like Syracuse men's basketball, for a team this talented. It's unacceptable for them to be losing games like this. Virginia Tech tried their absolute hardest. If you watched or listened to that game, they tried their hardest to give Syracuse an ACC win and allow them to bounce back from that Boston College loss. Syracuse didn't want it.
I watched it, Ben. I was there. I was in the Dome. I was reporting the game. Here's the thing, right? I don't even think that it was necessarily, like you said, Virginia Tech wasn't really doing anything offensively that allowed them to score 46 second half points. What it really comes down to, and this is, I think, where you're kind of going with this with the coaching, there were 20 fouls in that second half. 20.
Yep.
That's more than Syracuse is averaging all season in a full game. In the second half alone.
And more than double what Virginia Tech had in that second half as well.
Absolutely. Say what you will. Virginia Tech does have the personnel to get fouled. They have this shifty 5'11" guard, Ben Hammond, who's getting downhill, getting to the rim, and it's hard to guard someone like that when he's rising up so strong. A lot of the times it was just slaps on the wrist as he was going up. He shot 14 free throws in the game.
13 of them came in the second half.
13 of which came in the second half. As a team, Virginia Tech missed 10 free throws and still won by 2 because they shot 36.
Yeah.
They went 26 for 36. You gave them 26 free points. That is inexcusable. We talked about Syracuse's ineptitude all season long at the free throw line. I mean, come on, second worst in the country going into that Virginia Tech
Houston
game.
They had around as many free throws as Virginia Tech had, except they made around. I mean, sort of around the same amount, a lot less though. But Virginia Tech, I mean, they just did so many other things, getting to the line more often than Syracuse did, by a large clip in this game. It was unbelievable how often Syracuse was fouling Virginia Tech. Cuse got to the line 14 times. Virginia Tech did so more than double that. They had 36 free throw attempts, like you said. It was just undisciplined play. Hammond had an awesome game. I mean, he had 16 points in the second half alone, led the entire game with 24 on the night. And it's like they did not shoot well. Virginia Tech shot 45% from the field and 23% from three, but they took 36 free throws and made 26 of them and won the game barely by 2 points. This was not a good performance by Virginia Tech whatsoever. For some people that believe in those, the Russell Westbrook press conference. Russell, did you guys lose this game or did they win it? And
what are you talking about?
But I'm going to ask you that question. Did Virginia Tech win this game or did Syracuse lose it?
I mean, I think Syracuse. I think Virginia Tech won the game, right? We'll hear a little bit later in the show from what the actual coaching decisions were that gave them the opportunity to win. But I mean, yeah, I do think Syracuse played a part in that Virginia Tech win. That's just kind of the tango you play. I think really what Virginia Tech did well and what teams can build off of is they completely shut down the Orange from three in the second half. That was a winning move that they did. I mean, Syracuse had 7 first-half three-pointers. Nate Kings was unguardable, making his first 3 shots, first 2 threes, moving threes. Only finished with 11 points, though. Went 3 for 7. He just missed them. He missed the game-tying opportunity in the second half. I think Virginia Tech, they were a good perimeter team coming in, and they locked up in the second half. So I can't necessarily say that, it was all on Syracuse. Like, yeah, Virginia Tech had a good second half. You don't score 46 points for nothing.
Right.
But the onus completely has to fall on Syracuse for losing that magic. And I do agree with that sentiment. I do agree that you have to give Syracuse the blame for blowing it, as they've done all season. You know, once is an anomaly, twice is... I don't know the saying that well, but...
one time, shame on it.
When you do it 9 times, what do you even call that? You call that like an avalanche?
I don't think the saying goes that far. I don't think anyone thought anyone would do anything that goes 9 times, and Syracuse men's basketball is doing that in the second half.
It's the definition of insanity if someone goes insane 4 to 5 times in a season. You just keep losing the second half because you kind of... abandon what you're doing. A lot of it too. I thought there were some interesting personnel decisions as well. And not to completely repeat what we said on the double overtime after the game, but having Bryce Zephyr in for 11 minutes at the end of the first half, that was pretty interesting.
Sadiq White only
for
played 15
someone
minutes as well.
who had not played a single ACC minute. Akir Soiree doesn't play a single minute. Not sure what the status was on that front, but when there's a team like Virginia Tech in the second half that's consistently getting inside, getting to the basket, and beating you at the rim with smaller guards, why don't you put in your 6'9", maybe 6'10" on a good day, forward who is a defensive ace and great at blocking shots and has played some good, clean basketball, doesn't foul a ton. I wonder what the status for Akir Soiree was, why he didn't play, but I think that could have really helped Syracuse.
And even Syracuse, looking at their players that were racking up fouls, J.J. Starling had 5 alongside Sadiq White and Tyler Betsy. Akir Soiree, even if you know that he's going to go out there and he's probably going to commit fouls, at least he's a guy that you're okay with committing fouls and racking up those fouls to his name. At the very least, you put him out there for that. I couldn't agree more. You mentioned the late game antics that went on in that game. The missed 3 from Nick Kings, of course, but Syracuse is down by 3. Virginia Tech is at the free throw line with about 10 seconds left in the game.
Mm-hmm.
They brick the free throw.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, Syracuse has a chance. Donnie Freeman is on the block, goes up for it, and an offensive rebound occurs for Virginia Tech. They win the ballgame. That's how the game ends. Donnie Freeman not getting a rebound on a free throw when Syracuse, it's a free throw. It's 4v2 on a free throw with 4 Syracuse players and 2 Virginia Tech players is one of the most egregiously embarrassing things that could have happened to end that game. Breaking a 3-pointer that Nate Kings did, that's a tough way to go. Hey, you shot it, it didn't go in. You didn't get the rebound on a free throw. That is unbelievable.
Here are he was the tallest player on the floor.
Tallest player on the floor, 6'10".
He had the ball basically in his hands.
He got out-hustled.
He didn't jump, Ben.
Yes.
He didn't jump.
There's
it was
no
right
effort.
there, and he didn't jump.
There's no effort.
The guy behind him wanted it more. Credit to Lawal for coming down with that rebound, but how does he not want it more? And I, to an extent, understand why Adrian Autry was so frustrated in the post-game press conference after that. This might have been the angriest I've ever seen him after the game.
If you think we're getting angry days after this loss that Syracuse had to Virginia Tech, Adrian Autry was even angrier than we were in the post-game press conference. Let's take a look.
The inability to get the rebounds, important rebounds, the stretch to give us a chance again. I just thought that was the difference going back and forth, but the turnovers and our inability to get the rebounds when we needed it, they gave us a chance to, we got a clean look to tie it up, so you can ask for it. Then, we get another chance and we walk under the basketball, under the rim, and we don't get the rebound. So, to give us another chance. So, those are the things that, I would sum up the second half, and that was the game.
Syracuse could not get that other chance because Donnie Freeman did not get the rebound, Josh.
I mean, cut out from that soundbite. He dropped an F-bomb. He did.
He did, yes.
If you were as if you were as frustrated as Syracuse head coach Adrian Autry was, you can give us a call 315-443-2011 and tell us why you were so angry about that Virginia Tech game. If you agree with Adrian Autry being that angry, I mean, Donnie Freeman just didn't have a good game.
Awful game.
It was probably his worst game in Syracuse, even in his rookie year when, he didn't necessarily, sometimes he wasn't scoring double digits. When you're a rookie, a freshman, you kind of have a little bit of a longer leash, whatever. You're allowed to go out there and make some mistakes. I mean, just look at what Sadiq White, he fouled out this game. But, you have that long leash. Donnie Freeman is a sophomore. He's the leader on this team in scoring and in rebounding and in free throw shooting and all the little things that Syracuse needs to be successful. It's just mind-boggling. I understand exactly why Adrian Autry, you could maybe expect that from some other player on the team, but not from Donnie Freeman.
He led the team in turnovers. He shot 3 for 14 from the field. Virginia Tech, in all honesty, locked him up. They did a fantastic job of taking Donnie Freeman out of the game entirely, and that's exactly what they did, right? And Virginia Tech head coach Mike Young spoke on that after the game as well, taking Donnie Freeman out of this contest for Syracuse. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
Donnie is a dominant right-hand driver. He's got to get right. Can he go left? Yeah, he's a really good player. But cut that right hand off. You cannot let him catch face up from 15 feet where he's really, really good. And, be on his shoe tops on the perimeter. And, again, sit on his right hand. And Armani Hansberry, number 13 for us, is a brilliant person. And adhered to that quite well, as did Toby Lawal.
Hansberry locked up Donnie Freeman in this one. He was talking about how he's an amazing person. I can't attest to that. I don't know him personally. But Donnie Freeman, they talked about it. I don't know about you and I, Jish, but when it comes to doing anything, if I can't use my right hand, I'm inept. I won't be able to do anything for you in any sort of handsy way. Donnie Freeman, I'm sure, is much more skilled with his left hand when it comes to the game of basketball. But still, taking away his dominant hand obviously did numbers on the sophomore because he shot 3 for 14.
But that's what I'm saying too, right? This is what I mean by Virginia Tech did win this game. They knew how to stop Donnie Freeman. Is that a concerning sign that they're saying, oh, your best player doesn't have a left hand? Absolutely. And if he's putting that out in the ether, then what's to stop Miami and NC State and North Carolina, Duke, all these teams down the line from just copying and pasting that game plan against Donnie Freeman? Because before they really had that game plan down, Donnie Freeman had a good start to the game. He hit 2 3-pointers in that first half, looking like his old self. But when Coach Mike Young says, hey, get in his shoe tops, don't let him go right.
Yeah.
What can he do?
Make him uncomfortable.
I mean, all he can do is have hustle and effort, and that's what, again, compounds. Let's say it a third time, is so frustrating that Donnie Freeman, when he has a chance to show off the hustle, maybe things aren't going right in the score sheet.
Exactly.
To show it off with the rebound that's right there, you're getting shut out in all other aspects. What are you doing on the floor?
It was a lack of effort on that final play of the game. We talked about the first half and the second half as well. The only thing to maybe go right in the second half for Syracuse was J.J. Starling. Right?
Sure.
He had all 12 of his points in the second half. He shot 5 for 9, drilled a couple free throws to his name as well. J.J. Starling was fantastic in that second half. When you look at the first half, not so much, right? He only took 2 shots, only played 6 minutes as well because he got into early foul trouble, racked up 2 fouls in that first half. And once again, Virginia Tech head coach Mike Young talked about J.J. Starling and the type of player he is coming into this one.
J.J. scares us to death. He's scared me for 3 years now here at Notre Dame with he's just so darn dynamic. Great coaching on my part. I went zone for a possession. Of course, they flipped the damn thing to Betsy up top for a made 3. That was enough of that.
Well, I don't see why J.J. Starling should have scared you to death, Coach, right? Listen, yes, 12 points in the second half, that's good, but that also means, guess what? Scoreless in the first half.
Yep.
And also, there should be an asterisk to that J.J. Starling 12-point performance because for the first 8 to 10 minutes of that second half, he had just a couple points. A lot of it came in that last little surge that Syracuse had. Maybe they could have won the game. They were already down by 10, and J.J. Starling is just getting to the rim because Virginia Tech is not giving up threes. They're guarded all around the perimeter. Whatever. J.J. Starling can come in and have a layup if he wants it. I don't see why that should scare you to death. He's an inefficient scorer, has shot under 30% from 3, kind of has this line drive shot.
He does,
you don't you have to worry about him around the rim. He is a great finisher, one of the best finishers in the ACC, I will say, but he doesn't scare you necessarily as a playmaker, as a shooter per se. I don't see why he should scare you to death when guys like Nate Kings were drilling threes and Donnie Freeman is who Donnie Freeman is, and William Kyle, is still that paint beast. The second half was J.J. Starling's half, but really, you could boil it down to maybe 5 really good minutes from J.J. Starling.
Because what he does is he scores in surges, right? He kind of, something clicks in his head at certain points in the game where he decides to play hero ball. Sometimes it works out like it did, like you mentioned, in the last few minutes of this second half where he scores all 12 points. Sometimes it doesn't, which is why he is such an inefficient scorer for Syracuse, and also part of the reason why Syracuse keeps losing basketball games. I mean, they just rack up the losses in the ACC. Many fans are wondering if the season is already out of hands in terms of their hopes of a March Madness tournament and all that good or bad stuff, depending on the way you think about it. But, Jish, a 76-74 loss to Virginia Tech. We got another game coming up for the Syracuse men's basketball team against Miami very, very soon. We also got some special guests to break down that game right when we come back. It's the Sports Night here on WAER.
Morning Edition from NPR News eases you into your day and keeps you company through the chaos of a busy morning. Hear interviews that give you context on the day's biggest stories, along with reporting and updates on the latest breaking news. Stay on top of the world with Morning Edition every weekday.
Weekdays from 5 to 9 on 88.3 WAER.
News app from the BBC.
Understand what's happening.
With news.
What's going on?
Heat waves, cyclones, storms, floods.
Increasingly unpredictable weather events.
Interviews.
2024 is the hottest year on record.
This is an uncharted situation.
And analysis of the day's global events.
In the Middle East, it's very difficult to be shocked nowadays.
That's News app from the BBC.
Weekdays after Morning Edition at 9 on WAER, your local NPR station.
Sayer.
And I'm Bobby Carter. Next time on Tiny Desk Radio, a visit from the Bronx-born rapper and doctor PJ Sensuela.
The family band Chewy takes us to their hometown, Isabela.
And we take a swim with reggaetonero Eladio Carrion.
We're taking a trip to Puerto Rico. Next time on Tiny Desk Radio from NPR Music.
Friday evenings at 7 and Saturdays at 4 on 88.3 WAER, Syracuse Public Media.
On last week's Wait, Rachel Koster figured out why the president is so obsessed with Greenland.
I think there's got to be aliens there or something, like he knows something.
You think?
Yeah, of course. Why would he be so excited and be keeping it such a secret?
I'm Peter Sakel. Join us this week as we try to sell our theories about the week's news to Shark Tank's Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary. That's Wait from NPR.
Saturday morning at 11 on 88.3 FM WAER. Streaming live on WAER.org.
Let's keep it rolling here on Sports Night on WAER. It is 8:19. We'll have you till 9 p.m. this evening alongside Ben Chadwick. I'm Josh Sokolsky. We are about to talk about Syracuse men's basketball taking on Miami tomorrow. If you want to join in on our conversation, you can call us, 315-443-2011, if you want to say anything you got to say about Syracuse or about Miami. Well, if you don't want to, we already have somebody on the line who knows a little bit more about Miami men's basketball than we do. Gavin Bisho is the sports director of WVUM, a radio station covering Miami sports. He also was the voice of the Newport Gulls this summer, and on Instagram, his name is Big Swags. So we're excited to have this guy with this much swagger on the air here on WAER. Gavin, welcome to the show. Hopefully the weather's a lot nicer down there than it is up here. We're on winter storm watch.
Yeah, no, I'm surprised they're playing the game that you guys are having me on. But no, it was 78 and sunny today, so it was a pretty nice day. UV levels were up there, so no complaints down here.
Yeah, sure. Get a tan in for sure. So both Syracuse and Miami are in weird spots of the season, to say the least.
Yeah.
Miami obviously has the better record at 15-4, Syracuse 12-7, but Miami has just lost two pretty head-scratching games. What really went wrong in that loss to Florida State?
It was Jay Lucas said it perfectly after. I mean, it's always dangerous playing a team with really nothing to lose. And Florida State, they walked into the Wasco Center and they didn't go away. Miami had multiple opportunities in the first half. They went up 8 points early in the second half, where they could have run away with this ball game, and they just couldn't do it. I think it was a lack of offensive firepower paired with the inability to turn Florida State over. I mean, they're playing their best kind of brand of basketball, which seems kind of sad, but Florida State's a team that's had Miami's number. They've won now 15 of the last 16 games against Miami, and it's just a team that always plays Miami hard. And at 0-5 in ACC play, again, they had nothing to lose, and they used that, just to take down Miami on the road, and they had no answer really in terms of playing a team that desperate.
Hey, Gavin, thanks again for coming on the show. And you mentioned how Florida State is a team that is sort of playing with nothing to lose, and some of our listeners may argue that Syracuse also fits that mold in some way, shape, or form. But, I mean, you mentioned they came off losses to Clemson and Florida State, so is that sort of bad news, would you say, for the Orange when it comes to Miami just sort of desperate themselves now to finally get a win?
Well, you hope so if you're the Hurricanes. But the one thing I have loved this year, I mean, Jay Lucas in his first year has already done so well, beyond what many people thought he could do after the worst season in program history last year for the Hurricanes, with Larry Nagel leaving and the late Bill Courtney having to come in to finish the job for the rest of the year. But he does preach, it is hard to win in the ACC. Just because you're playing a team like Syracuse or an FSU does not mean you can take your foot off the pedal. Every week, he's always telling the team, any way you can find a win. And that's the only thing that I've been kind of concerned about with Miami. Yes, they've won a lot of games, but they haven't been by dominating amounts. I mean, they were down by a good amount in that Pitt game, their first ACC play game, and Pitt's kind of been lousy this year as well. And so it's been a couple games for Miami where you'd expect them to maybe play a little better, and they just really haven't, but they found a way to get wins, and that's been able to get eyeballs on the team. And then you go to Clemson, and they're really sluggish 30 minutes. They really turned on the last 10. That's about it. I think some of that kind of rolled over into FSU to them, thinking they can kind of just walk in there and no matter how they play, get a W. So I do think this is a team that's going to probably have a better head, screwed on a little tighter going to Syracuse on the road, especially helps them. The fact that it's another factor they have to climb, and not just being able to sleep in their own beds and take on a team that has their fair share of struggles.
That's definitely an interesting point. And we had this thought experiment off air, the three of us here, about who really needs this win more. I'm curious to know what you think, Gavin, because personally, I honestly think Miami might need this one more. In my opinion, this Syracuse season, it's close to done, right? You lose to Boston College. You lose to Virginia Tech in back-to-back weeks. What the at-large dreams are kind of dwindling if they aren't already dead. The only way Syracuse can really turn it on is in the ACC tournament, which is still a long ways away. Miami, on the other hand, kind of has a reputation to succeed with the start to the season that they had. I mean, what do you think? Do you think Miami or Syracuse really needs this win more?
Well, I'd agree with you. I feel like Syracuse, I mean, you mentioned the last week that they've had, how tough it is. It really makes it tough sledding, no pun intended, the rest of the way out.
Oh, man.
For Miami,
Too soon.
they're at 15-4. They're still in at-large conversation, but you drop another game or two here in the next week, and you really start wondering, is this team for real? They might go out and win 23 games, but would they have to show for it? And the two competitive games that they've or I guess they've lost 4 now back-to-back, but in non-conference play, you play BYU right for a half, then you just stop scoring on offense, so that's not going to work against A.J. DeBonta and company. And then Florida, they look sluggish in the first half, and they couldn't really ride together. What else do you have on your schedule? A win versus an Ole Miss team that, again, hasn't looked tip-top as Chris Beard would want it over the past, compared to what they were the past couple of years. I mean, Georgetown is bottom feeder in the Big East. You really had nothing else to show for it. And with these ACC games coming down the stretch where you're going to start playing teams like Stanford that's been pretty solid, North Carolina, NC State, Virginia, FSU again, SMU, Louisville, all in the second half of your ACC schedule, you got to find a way to show dominance against teams that on paper, you should be better than. And if you want to get into that at-large situation, have a legitimate case, and people take you seriously, we have to go on the road and take care of business. Whether it's at the Carrier Dome, the Dean Dome, whether it's in Raleigh, you got to just do it. I think for Miami, this is one of those where if you don't get a win now, you could start sliding. We saw it 2 years ago. They started off 17-7. They were riding high after a ranked win at home against Clemson. They go on to lose 11 straight at the end of that year or something, 10 or 11 straight, and then it rolls into the next year where they win 7 games in total. So I've seen this happen with Miami where they have good starts. They're teetering on being ranked or outside of receiving votes. They're an 8 to 9 seed at large, and then the wheels just completely fall off with a team that on paper is really talented and shows to what Jay Lewis can do in 1 year.
I think you make a great point there, too, because you could argue that Miami's 2 best wins right now, like you mentioned, Ole Miss, and I think Wake Forest is another pretty solid team.
Yeah, on the road for sure.
The Hurricanes took down. But you could argue that those teams are slightly better than Syracuse at this point. I mean, they're not by far better than the Orange.
No, you're right.
So exactly, I think that's a good thing to think about. Miami doesn't have that big win to show for, like Syracuse might with Tennessee. Although there's been a lot of other things that have fallen off the trails for Syracuse in this one. But I want to talk a little bit about some of the players on Miami, specifically to start off. Ernest Udeh has been fantastic for the Hurricanes so far. I mean, he's shooting 73% from the field, but is only averaging 7 points per game. So I'm curious, what are your thoughts on Miami not having him as involved in the scoring offense as it seems like he could be, shooting over 70% from the field?
Well, I think Jay Lucas just loves what he gets out of Udeh. He's a big-time rebounder. You're going to see him on the floor on Saturday, and on defense, his impact is massive. I mean, he's going to be skying high with 2 hands for rebounds. He'll try to get the ball right out of his hands to a guard and get down the floor and just cause havoc in the paint, whether that's sealing off defenders down low to allow his point guards, someone like Malik Renew, to find space. A funny stat that we got from him is last year at TCU, I want to say 70% of his field goals that he made were dunks. So don't be afraid to see a lot of alley-oops, a lot of high-low with him. When you get him one-on-one and get him moving towards the rim, you'll see Trey Donaldson, Shelton Henderson just flip the ball up. It seems like above the backboard, but Udeh at 6'11", a really big wingspan, they'll go up and make something with it. I wouldn't say he's a guy that's like, man, he's going to kill us points-wise. He'll kill it when it matters most, if that makes sense. Because, again, outside of the paint, he doesn't really shoot the ball much, and sometimes it looks a little sloppy when he's driving hard downhill and not really keeping his eyes on the rim. I think he's really good off the pass. And he's kind of one of those guys where you don't know when he's going to hurt you, but he will find a way to do so.
He sounds almost like Syracuse's William Kyle, who is kind of similar, that lob threat, the rim runner, gets a ton of blocks and rebounds. Now, you told us before the show that Miami's a team that kind of lives and dies by the three-pointer. And if you look at the stats in ACC play, that means that Miami's done a lot of dying. They are the last place team in terms of three-point percentage since conference play has started. What's really been the issue from beyond the arc with this Hurricanes team?
I think, and when you say live and die, and I talked about this earlier, it's because this team is so focused on getting to the basket. You look at some of the players that they have, Trey Donaldson, one of the best driving guards in the country. He's out in a career year, 16 points a game. Malik Renew can put up 20 and 8, like, you blink and it'll have him right in front of you. The problem is they haven't been getting to the basket as well because they're not hitting their outside shots. So teams are blocking up the paint. They're staying within the three-point line, and that's making it, one, hard for Miami to drive, which they want to do every single play. If Jay Lucas would want it, the ball would be in the paint as many times as possible. That's where the focal point of the offense is, whether that's in Lake Renew turning around, using his ability to be strong and finish at the rim, or to the eyes to kick out to a true Washington who struggled over his last four, hasn't reached double figures. Timo Malovitz coming off the bench. Dante Allen, who was really good for Miami earlier, is battling a broken hand. He came back, and his splits just haven't been great ever since. So it's a Hurricanes team that depth-wise also is a little head-scratching. You're playing 8 guys, sometimes 7, and when people get into foul trouble, that really starts to become a problem. But it's just the lack of hitting shots, because once you can hit 35%, Miami is fine with that. They've shot 25% over their last 2. It just opens up their offense and allows them to drive more. The moment some shots start falling from beyond the arc, you'll see players like Trey Donaldson, who can do both, shoot from 3 and drive to the basket, or like Malik Renew, who has tested the three-point range a little bit over the past couple of games, to really start doing damage down low. So, again, the threes, they don't live and die by it. The fact they can't hit them, it's really hurting their interior presence, although they're shooting just under 60% from 2. This is a team that can shoot in the 70s. They showed that earlier in the year.
Yeah, Gavin, it's pretty clear from talking to you these past couple of minutes that nobody really knows the Hurricanes like you do. Thank you so much for joining the show. If you liked what you heard from Gavin, you can listen to him on WVUM. He will have the call for Miami taking on Stanford. That's Miami's next home game. Thank you so much for the time, Gavin.
Thank you for having me on, guys.
All
Stay
right.
safe.
Yes, you as well. Now let's switch over from one of the Hun to one of our own. Drew Albaugh is here in studio to talk yet again about this Syracuse versus Miami game that is tomorrow. So, Drew, if you want to talk to Drew as well, please feel free to interact with us on social media. That's at WAER Sports Talk on X and on YouTube. We got our live stream going. Any questions you got for Drew, who's going to be in person in the Dome tomorrow, hopefully not walking there or driving. I hope you teleport to the Dome. I hope you can teleport to the Dome. I do not want you to go outside tomorrow. It's going to be so cold, as we've talked about. But also, if you want to call in,
sled there, Jish?
You know what?
Tunnels. There's got to be some of those around here, right?
I'm sure there are, right? I'm sure you can maybe take a snowmobile there. That's probably maybe a private jet. If you want to talk to Drew, use your voice and get on our airwaves like Gavin B. Show just did. Call the number 315-443-2011. Drew, you excited about this game tomorrow?
Ah, man. I'm excited to watch basketball at a high level.
Sure.
That's a bad answer. That's not a good answer.
I'm not necessarily super pumped, if I'm going to be completely honest, to see this Syracuse basketball team right now. And it's not because the Orange, aren't giving effort. That's not what I've drawn from these last couple of losses to Boston College and Virginia Tech. It's that at this point, a lot of these games are won or lost in the margins, and you can really go back the entire season. And Syracuse is knocking on the door in 4 or 5 games in which it's lost and just come out on the wrong end of things. And that's not an excuse. If anything, that's when the margins get thin, who do you point to? The leader of the team, the Donnie Freemans of the world, the J.J. Starling, head coach Adrian Autry, can't get it done down the stretch. You see it against Virginia Tech. You see it against Boston College. Hofstra earlier in the year. Houston. You flip those 4 games. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. All of a sudden, Syracuse is in a completely different spot.
Well, I take a little exception to the fact that you say that it's not an effort thing. I mean, you saw that last play of Virginia Tech. That's what I'm.
You think Donnie was broken up about that?
I'm not saying that he wasn't upset about it. I'm not, but
Nate George came in, and Donnie and Nate George had a miscommunication on that rebound. It was not an effort thing.
If it's in your hands, you got to pull it down. If you don't jump, then that's, in my opinion, something that you can't.
Nate George flew in behind him, and Donnie gave him a look like, I thought you had it, he thought he had it, and Virginia Tech had it. That happens. And
it shouldn't happen, though.
It shouldn't happen.
It shouldn't happen at this level. You mentioned this is high-level basketball.
No.
This shouldn't be happening at high-level basketball.
It should not happen. Ridiculous. I was there, and I was just as mad. But that was not effort. I don't think that was effort. I think that is a sloppy basketball team.
The problem is that
you can give as much effort as our producer, Sam Reese, he is the most effort-based basketball player.
You calling him sloppy?
I've ever seen.
Uh-oh, here we go.
The guy hasn't touched a basketball for most of his life, and I'm sure he could come here and say that. He gives a lot of effort, but, at the end of the day, Syracuse basketball...
Are we still in the air? Has he still got us on the air?
Effort doesn't always lead to wins. So I'm honestly tired of the whole effort conversation. I don't think that's the main problem.
So what is the main problem? What needs to be fixed on this team?
In the margins, the games are won or lost in the last 5 minutes, and Syracuse... How many games has Syracuse lost in the second half?
Well, that's so vague. What do you
9?
mean by in the margins, Drew?
There are moments in the... Okay, I can go back and point to them. In the Hofstra game,
Please.
Kai and Anthony is shaded all the way into the paint, leaves their best shooter in the corner wide open, up by 2. He hits the shot. All of a sudden, Syracuse loses that game. In the Houston game, the Orange had a chance to win it at the very end. What was the shot that Syracuse got? It's a sloppy shot. In Boston College, Syracuse has a chance to win it. They go down the court, turn over the ball. Even after all the craziness for Boston College, Syracuse still with under 10 seconds has a chance to win it. There are moments in the game where you turn to a guy and there's no one to be found. And there's not a game plan. There's no execution. There are moments throughout the season where you change a few moments and all of a sudden Syracuse is in a different spot. I think that is, and I know that's a broad answer, but I think it's the small moments where Syracuse does not seem to have a game plan or an identity, and that's a responsibility of players on the court, the coaching staff, the identity of this team. I'm tired of the bells and whistles. I'm tired of the orange zones. I'm tired of the fighter of the games. I'm tired of all that. It doesn't matter.
You gotta win to have fun like that.
Right.
The women's basketball team with their construction hard hat, they win. They could do whatever they want.
Right.
Men's basketball, they can't have you can't have fun until you win.
Right. I mean, they were doing that last year too, and they weren't winning.
That is
either.
fair.
But I kind of see what you're saying. It's more lapses of focus, though, then. It's lapses of judgment. It's making the wrong decisions.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Over and over and over again. And who do you point to? Adrian Autry is definitely an answer, sure, but there's also no excuse for Donnie Freeman not to haul in that rebound, 100%. My point is I just don't think it's – I see him broken up, and usually guys that aren't giving effort – they don't have that same reaction where the hands are in the head. I mean, Donnie's slumped over. He clearly cares about this team. But it still is no excuse, right? A minute left, Syracuse down by 5, rather. Big steal, throws the ball away. I mean, it's simple stuff. And to be honest with you guys, like the Virginia Tech game, I think the season's already lost at that point. Go back, the Virginia Tech's like Boston College is the car crash on the way, and then you get to the house 2 hours later after you go, driven by the truck that drives you there after you can't drive the car, and all of a sudden you realize the keys are in the glove box and the car you just crashed. It's the second thing, but the highlight of the night is definitely the car crash, and Syracuse's car crash was against Boston College. And the Virginia Tech loss, sure, we can point to. That BC loss was absolutely horrendous, and that ended the season. Do we agree with that?
Yeah.
I would agree.
Of course, the Virginia Tech. If you beat Virginia Tech, you're not really pushing the needle anyway.
No,
unless
you
you're
had
beating by 20.
6%
Losing to Boston College sends the needle way back.
Yeah,
It's
it takes the needle out of the
haystack.
Yeah,
and then puts it on a plate and flies it to another country.
See, that's not where I was going with that, but
Dude,
I love your
I'm trying
imagination.
to imitate Drew. I can't do it.
I
Drew,
love both
Drew
of your
simile
imaginations.
outball over here. You can't do it.
I think it's I don't think simile is the right word. That's where you use like or
metaphors.
as.
Metaphors.
It's
That's what you're doing.
analogies, metaphors, etc. Yeah, this Syracuse team, guys. Whatever analogy you want to use, not good enough is not an analogy, but I could just use 3 words to describe it. And right now, what's really the path forward? Like seriously, what is the path forward for Syracuse?
Well, Drew,
winning the ACC, is that a realistic path?
The path forward for Syracuse, I think a lot of fans that were at the stadium and were chanting out chants that I'm sure you heard since you were at the stadium. The path forward, future-wise, might have to do with some changes coaching-wise as well. And the crowd, although there weren't many of them at that Virginia Tech game, they were loud and they had their strong opinions on that. So when it comes to a situation like that, and it comes to fans feeling like that in this Miami game that we have coming up for Syracuse, and you can listen to it on WAER as well, how many fans do you even expect to show up for this game and for the season the rest of the way? Because if they do show up, are they just going to show up and criticize the team in their chants, or was that kind of the last straw and they're just done showing up and Syracuse will have no one in the stands each game day?
Syracuse has one of the best fan bases in the entire country, even after missing the tournament for 4 years now. And I think fans will be there. I think the weather will play a part. But you're right. I don't think there's going to be the same level of intensity necessarily at the Dome that there's been even against Virginia Tech. I was pretty happy with the turnout, to be completely honest.
Sure.
For a 9 p.m. tip midweek, it's cold out there. Yes, fans left at the 2-minute mark, but Syracuse was down by 8 or 9 points at that point. The Orange battle back. It would have been nice to have a few more fans for those last free throws that Virginia Tech tossed up there. But the intensity of the fans, whatever the amount of fans that show up, that's what I'm going to be looking at. How locked in are people? Are people going to be hate watching this team at this point?
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
I'm interested to see that.
Well, what's even worse at this point? Like hatred or apathy, right? Because if I think you get into a really dangerous spot when fans just stop caring, when there are empty seats, when people don't show up to the game. I'd rather have a packed-out dome chanting Fire Autry or whatever they have to chant.
Fans caring.
I'd rather them do that and really be invested in the program than nobody show up. And I think tomorrow you can't necessarily judge the state of the program. You judge the state of the world by tomorrow because of the snowstorm, obviously.
Oh, there you go.
I don't think that if you still get a decent crowd tomorrow, I feel like change has to come. Like that is a telltale sign that even in the most biblical of snowstorms, you have people showing up to boo. Like if that's the case tomorrow, I think if I'm John Wildhack, I'm seeing that, I'm like, man, something's gotta give, right? Because otherwise,
something's got to give regardless.
Right, of course. But at least that shows that there's still a pulse in this fan base. I'm curious to see how many people will be there.
It can happen. In sports, when teams are this bad and this disappointing, I should say, for Syracuse.
People show up with bags on their heads to game. They don't even want to show that they were there.
And those are the diehard fans you see at Jets and Browns games. But those stadiums are not full, and Syracuse fans could very quickly become numb. I mean, they are passionate fans, but how many disappointing seasons needs to rack up before Syracuse fans are just like, oh, they're playing a game today? All right,
who cares?
This season is just so frustrating. I mean,
the talent is undeniable for them to be losing like this.
Last year, it was almost just like the talent isn't there. I mean, it wasn't there.
Fair, yeah.
And the injuries, too.
Sure, the injuries. Donnie's out. You're right. This season, again, I'm going to go back to it because I think it's really when you boil it down, you can pick probably 5 to 10 moments. I'm not even talking about stretches or games. Particular moments in this season. You flip that, you do the thing that you're meant to do if you're a D1 basketball player, and the season is completely different. I mean, it's completely different. Even in the Kansas game. I mean, understandably, Donnie Freeman isn't there, and that could have been completely different. Imagine you pick up a Houston win. I mean, what is the season outlook? Now you have Houston and Tennessee victories, and somehow, the Hofstra loss, if you can flip that, and a lot of what-ifs right now, but the season is completely different. And it's so frustrating. It's almost more frustrating to be close and feel it like a Bills fan would, with this Josh Allen team right now than maybe a Jets fan.
We're just tugging at the heartstrings of every Central New York sports fan right
but
now.
it's almost more difficult to deal with that as a team that continually knocks on the door to nothingness.
If you have anything you'd like to say to Drew or to that point, if you disagree with him, call us 315-443-2011. He's only on for a little bit longer to defend himself, so please get your voice heard right now. It's now or never if you want to contest.
Or
that
talk
point.
to these two guys. How about that?
Sure. I mean,
it'll work too.
It almost feels like Syracuse fans are staring into a void, though. Last year, Kyan Anthony's coming next year. Sadiq White's coming next year. This is it. Like you said, Drew, this is the most talent. You've already put your last ornament on the Christmas tree here. This is the most talented the Syracuse team has been in the 2020s, I'd say.
And I like to your point, or will be for quite some time too. JJ,
right.
And you got to assume Donnie could also be gone.
That's the other thing.
Year.
What is next year going to bring that's better than this year?
Right. It's a very not apathetic. What's the nihilistic view? I think of the team right now. I think there's a general
4 out of 5 starters.
You're going to lose a lot of. I mean, that's just kind of the general sense of college basketball in its state right now, with NIL and players always jumping ship for bigger paychecks.
And that's if you keep a Sadiq White,
right?
And Kyan will probably stay because of his whole lineage here. But you look up and down, and there's parents of players that are frustrated. I mean, it's not a good look right now.
It's like the Will Smith gif when he's like in that empty house and he looks around and there's nothing there. There's no furniture, nobody.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it's going to feel having Kyan Anthony on this team next year. Hopefully, right? I mean, him and Aaron Womack might lead this team to the promised land in the future. But it's so hard to even say who will be here next year.
Yeah.
Drew, before we let you go, I want to ask you. We've kind of gotten to all these philosophical discussions here about margins and effort or whatever. What do you think? Let's get tangible. Final score of the game tomorrow when the buzzer sounds at the end of the second half. Who's victorious and what's the score?
I think Syracuse is the more talented team, as the Orange have been against every team except for the 3 teams in Vegas, for my money. Maybe the Tennessee game. Other than that, I think Syracuse is more talented, and at home, Miami struggles on the road. I think people forget how bad Miami was last year, which, by the way, Syracuse lost to the U last year. The Hurricanes 0-10 last year on the road. This year, 3-3. I think the Orange get it done. I don't think it matters all too much, in the grand scheme of the season, but a tangible scoreline. I'll look into my magic ball and say Syracuse 85, Miami 78. It's a good win for Syracuse that, in the end, only confuses the season even more.
Well, I think they'd have to play a strong final 20 minutes for that to be the case, which is something they have not done for the most part. Drew is going to be in the Dome tomorrow. You can follow all of his coverage on at WAER Sports Talk.
Don't want to miss that.
Game time to the double overtime, where if you haven't had enough of Drew, he will be there once more on the double overtime. But for now on Sports Night, we bid you adieu, Drew.
Thanks so much, guys.
Best of luck weathering the elements tomorrow, getting to the Dome, and having a good time there, hopefully, watching some high-level basketball that you're looking forward to.
That could be an ice block at that point.
We shall see. Well, when we return here on Sports Night, only about 15 minutes left, we're going to talk about women's basketball, a really good women's basketball team.
Yes, sir, they are.
And we're going to put a bow on the football transfer portal window, which just wrapped up. Syracuse brought in some intriguing names. Ben and I will talk about it on the other side of this break.
Running away, I'm at a loss of what to say to you. Then another night, I give up the fight. Will it be alright?
Slow down and enjoy the ride. I'm Kathy Mattea. Join us each week on Mountain Stage, live performance radio from NPR.
Sunday from noon to 2 on 88.3 FM WAER.
News happens all week, all around the world.
If you want to understand what this French election is all about,
4 candidates are running unopposed, and 3 of them met reporters Thursday.
Whatever the outcome of today's elections, the secessionist genie is out of the bottle.
News, analysis, perspective, music, books, and sports, too. Saturday on Weekend Edition from NPR News.
Saturday morning from 8 to 10 on WAER and streaming live on WAER.org.
There is a one-stop listen for everything Syracuse athletics.
Syracuse men's lacrosse had arguably maybe Gary Gates' best weekend ever as head coach.
The Ostrom Avenue podcast provides unique opinions, plus exciting interviews from industry experts.
The voice of Syracuse men's lacrosse and Syracuse women's basketball as well. Tim Leonard, Javon Edmonds of Syracuse.com.
Check out weekly episodes and listen at WAER.org or wherever you get your podcasts.
Oh, favorite song is a fantastic one. Welcome back to Sports Night here in our Ostrom Avenue studios. We got just about a little over 10 minutes to go here in our show. Reminder, you can call in at 315-443-2011. Check out our Twitter at WAER Sports Talk and also watch us on YouTube at that same handle. Jish, we talked about men's basketball as much as we possibly could have, breaking down past losses, previewing this upcoming game with some fantastic guests, might I add, that we just had in our studio and on the phone to talk with us. Let's get to an actual good basketball team.
Oh, thank goodness.
How
yes,
about we
I
get
love
to
it.
Syracuse women's basketball, 16-3 right now on the year. They're 6-2 in the ACC. A reminder, last season they had 6 wins in the ACC on the year as a whole. They went 6-12. They're 6-2 right now. This is a team that is firing on all cylinders. Projections show them as an 8 seed in the March Madness tournament coming up. This is a huge upgrade from, 1, the Syracuse men's basketball team, and 2, last year's squad for Syracuse as well. They have been so fun to watch.
It really has been a treat, right? Especially these last 3 wins. The Stanford win was honestly the least exciting. You know, Stanford's not what it used to be, but a triple overtime win over Cal, and then you go into Virginia to John Paul Jones Arena against honestly, what seemingly on paper was a much more talented UVA team, and you beat them by 20. Layla Filia has almost 40 points in that one. And what really impresses me the most about the Syracuse women's basketball team is its depth. Layla Filia missed the Stanford game. She got banged up in the Cal game, and other players could still step up, right? Uche Azoje was kind of shut down in these past couple games. Not shut down, but it's been a little quieter than she's accustomed to being, and the team still finds ways to win. I think that it's not the same as like a Deasia Fair-led team from 2 years ago when they went 24-8 and made it to March Madness, because if they weren't getting 30 points from Deasia Fair, they were losing. This is a team that has more than 2 reliable scorers, and that's what's going to take them far.
And look, Dominique Darius is that player that stepped up for Syracuse in the absence of Layla Filia.
National Player of the Week. Are you kidding me?
National Player of the Week.
Yes.
We're so used to seeing ACC Freshman of the Week or National Freshman of the Week for Uche Azoje, who has been, we'll get to her in a little bit, she has been phenomenal for the Orange this year. The future is so bright for Syracuse women's basketball because of her alone. But Dominique Darius really, really stepping up. A 26-point game, a new career high for her in the absence of Layla Filia. Racked up 4 assists to her name as well. She stepped up big time. This team just plays so together, and they know exactly what holes are left in people's absence or what they need to work on game after game after game. That's why they've won 5 of their last 6. They are on a roll and receiving votes for the AP Top 25 as well. Look, I believe they received 8 votes, so that puts them like in the top 30 if you really want to look at rankings that way. This team is fantastic, Josh, and they got a tough game coming up as well.
Yes, but what concerns me, Ben, they've had a week to prepare for UNC this weekend. That is a tough game, as you said. I know you'll be down there for that one.
Well, I'll try to be.
So that's a little concerning, though, right? A team that's so hot, that's won 3 straight. Is it really concerning to have a week off when you're kind of reaching your apex as a team, right? The last time they had a break of a week or more was between when they played Mercyhurst and Duke, from the December 22nd to December 28th, so a 6-day break there, and they got clobbered. It wasn't even close, and that was to a Duke team that's completely turned it around. So it's looking like a fine loss as the days grow longer, or rather the days do grow longer, right? We're past the winter solstice.
We are.
But still, right? There is, I think, some merit there, right? Yes, you get the chance to rest, but now there's the argument of rest versus rust. Is this a team that can thrive off the rest, or did they kind of need the vibes to continue to keep kind of churning through? It's easy to lose focus in this week. I mean, personally, I'm still confident in the Syracuse women's team. They've only lost 3 games this year, and they've looked good in their wins. But I don't know. That still should be something that Syracuse fans keep in the back of their mind when they're following this game tomorrow or on Sunday.
Long breaks at this point in the season, too, are so tough either way. If Syracuse was on a 3-game win streak like they are right now, it's tough because, you want to keep the momentum going. You want to keep the vibes going, like you said. But if this week-long break came immediately after the 20-point loss to Virginia Tech a couple weeks ago and they had a week to just mull over that and sort of think about that could have a negative effect there as well. So these week-long breaks, they can definitely have a negative effect. You can argue the rest for a game that was a team that was on a 3-game winning streak, but I do worry about this team having a full week to just sort of sit and practice, but not playing ACC opponents like Miami has. Miami coming off a win over at Georgia Tech on Thursday. They won by 8 in that game, and they annihilated Florida State last Sunday as well. So Miami has played several games in that span that Syracuse has not played any games when it comes to this conference play. So it'll be very interesting. Syracuse will be more rested, but will they be more ready? I think that's the main question that Coach FLJ and the Orange are going to have to answer.
And Felicia Leggett-Jack's been coaching for a long time. I'm sure she has ways to keep her team engaged and focused. And I know her kind of coaching style is very much the style of motivation, right? It's these are our dreams and nothing's going to stop us from achieving our dreams. And I think that message definitely resonates, right? The players definitely echo what she's saying. The message is taken loud and clear. And she's got some really nice senior leaders as well in there to right the ship. Dominique Darius, Layla Filia, Sophie Burrows as a junior, but still as a captain. They've understand what it takes to win, and they know how to spread the wealth and to really keep the vibes up. I still have confidence that Syracuse can get it done against UNC. Not your grandmother's UNC team, by the way. Not as good as they have been in years past. I'd say, when UNC was a powerhouse in the ACC. I think Syracuse has a really good shot on Sunday, to say the least, with just the head of the snake that's leading the way.
It really is, and I'm very interested. The one thing that I'm watching for in this game is the battle of the bigs with Syracuse and North Carolina. Sierra Toomey for North Carolina, you could argue, and many would argue, is their best player, averaging 11 points per game, leads the team. 7 rebounds a game, also leads the team, and a block and a half as well. All of those leading North Carolina so far this year. And I mentioned it before, Uche Izoje has been unbelievable. The freshman for the Orange is averaging 14 points per game. That's second most on the squad. 9 rebounds and 3 blocks per game. This is a freshman who's 6'3", which isn't incredibly tall in women's basketball. 6'3", and she's doing all of that. That is the key matchup that I personally cannot wait to watch down in Chapel Hill.
Yeah, they're calling her the Shaquille O'Neal of women's basketball.
There you go.
That's what they're saying.
I don't
Sources
know
are saying that.
I don't know who they is, but I will take your word for it, Jish. That is absolutely for sure. Women's basketball has a fantastic one coming up. A team that does not have any games coming up soon. Some fans might be happy about that after this season went. Is Syracuse football. But they made waves in the transfer portal, good waves and some bad waves, players leaving, players joining. But there's some key players that I think we have to talk about. The transfer portal is now closed. This is the first time we're able to break this down since that transfer portal window closed. So we know exactly what the team, or pretty much exactly what the team is going to look like next year. How about a couple quarterbacks coming in for the Orange? Amari Odom from Kennesaw State was first team all-conference for Kennesaw State last year. And then you also got Malachi Nelson from Utah. Let's start with Odom, because Odom, it seems like, will be the backup quarterback to Steve Angeli, who we don't know when he'll be able to come back. So Amari Odom could also be QB1 for a week or two, or maybe 3 or 4 for the Orange starting next year.
It's definitely interesting because I think they're very different quarterbacks, Odom and Angeli. Odom is more of that dual threat. You know, a big reason he won Conference Player of the Year is because of his ability to run the ball. He didn't wow you with the passing numbers, under 3,000 yards. But rushing is where he really made his money. So, you know, if Angeli goes down, it would be, again, or if they have to start the season with Odom, if Angeli isn't ready.
Right.
Curious to see how Jeff Nixon would amend the playbook, or, you know, play to his strengths, rather. I mean, that was kind of something that we questioned a little bit on the air when it was Ricky Collins' time this season. Like, why did the playbook kind of, at least for the first few games, they kind of treated it like business as normal. So curious to see how Amari Odom would gel into this pro-style offense that saw guys like Kyle McCord and Steve Angeli thrive. So, but Malachi Nelson.
Well, please, let's get into it.
Why?
Number 1 recruit in his class.
Who got benched at Boise State.
Correct.
Got benched at UTEP last season.
Correct.
Because of poor performance. So why does he still have a D, let alone a Power 4 job, with a chance to compete for the starting spot if Angeli is not ready to go?
I doubt it.
I'm scratching my head on this one, Ben.
I think Syracuse set the precedent and the standard this season when Ricky Collins started all of the games that he started. Now you bring in Malachi Nelson to be your QB3. Look, if Ricky Collins could be a starting quarterback for Syracuse, Malachi Nelson can be a QB3. I don't mind this whatsoever for the Orange. Malachi, it's fun. It's fun. Well, obviously, we're having fun now.
It's not fun.
We have a rapper coming in to be a new receiver.
No, not anymore.
Oh, 2C.
They committed. That wound is still fresh. I'm still broken up about that, Ben. What would we do without a 25-year-old 5'8" wide receiver?
What would we do?
I don't know.
This team is a circus.
I don't know. I don't know why you can call Malachi Nelson fun, though. Is 55% passing fun? More interceptions than touchdowns fun to you, Ben?
Fun as a QB3. It's a QB3 who was previously the number 1 ranked recruit in the country coming out of high school, went to QBU over at USC to be coached by Lincoln Riley. Nothing has worked for him at all up until this point. But now he's here. That's all there is to it.
Now, it would be like, you know, an NFL comparison. If Jamarcus Russell floated up on the shores of being the Eagles third string, I wouldn't be excited about it. I don't want this guy on the team if everywhere he's gone, he has just completely been not the guy, notably, like, notoriously not the guy, just bad, like not even underperforming, just bad wherever he's been. I'm not excited about this guy coming in.
Unbelievable that you just compared Syracuse football, especially in the state that it's in, to an actual professional NFL football team. That was quite the reach from you there, Jish.
I'm more comparing one bus to another.
Sure, that is fair. Still at different levels, I will argue,
Sure.
but also fair. All right, we're just about out of time here on Sports Night. We had a whole lot of fun. I'm sure they're going to have a whole lot of fun a week from now, Friday, January 30th. Check out Sports Night then, again, from 8 to 9 p.m. Our next broadcast is tomorrow. We talked about it with Drew. We talked about it with Gavin. Syracuse men's basketball, that is, faces off against Miami at 2 o'clock. Gino Antamarino and Luke Burgess are on the call for that one, so long as they can safely make it inside the dome. Everyone, please stay safe out there with this winter storm rolling through. McClure Remodeling countdown to tip-off will be at 1:30 for that one, and the double overtime with Milo Hoffman and Timmy Weiss will start immediately after the clock hits 000, and we wrap things up on Orange Overtime. Also, listen to the Ostrom Avenue podcast wherever you get your podcasts, and a couple thank yous to Sam Reese, Adam Gotkin, Cole Purvis, and Augie Walters for all their work behind the scenes. For Jish Shikulski and Ben Chadwick, have a great night, folks.